Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg podcast.
Hi there, everybody.
Hi, Rose.
Hi. How you is?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Are you?
Well, not really, but that's beside the point, guys. We're
doing okay.
Yes.
We're doing okay.
Yeah,
we are hanging on.
Exactly. A lot of things going on, every
Life.
every day. Yeah, life in general, guys. Sometimes you have your you have your good days and you have your not so great days.
Yes.
And I think sometimes you just have to try to, you can't always be on a high. This is the thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I wish I could.
Oh God, I wish I could too. I wish I could always just be like, I think we're pretty lucky people in a sense that like a lot of the time we are quite content. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty happy in general.
Yeah.
But then once in a while, you get those moments where you kind of feel a little bit down and so
what do you do in those moments, Daniel? What are some tips for you? Quick fire tips.
So some mixture of things. So one of the things that I like to do, which I think really helps and stuff, is like some kind of fitness. Because that even though you're feeling in like a funk, you can just be like, okay, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna go for a run. I feel like that's one way to help. At least clear your thoughts. And take a moment to like the other day on Sunday, I actually did like a 12K run and I just
woo! Daniel's ahead of me now, guys. So we're still doing that. Oh my God. I'm kind of fucked though.
We're training for a half marathon.
And I have a wedding to go to the day before.
I know.
And like, what time does our half marathon start?
7 a.m.
I'm fucked. I'm officially fucked.
Are you gonna drink at that wedding?
I'm emceeing at this wedding as well. I'm going to have to drink.
Oh God, Rose, you need to control yourself.
Oh God, Daniel. Okay, I'm going to have 2 glasses of wine.
Is there going to be like some shots going on there?
No, I will announce to everybody
that you have a half marathon.
Because I'm an MC. I will fucking announce to literally the entire party.
Yeah.
That I have a half marathon to run tomorrow. So I really, really, that really sucks though. I hate that. Because I love drinking at weddings.
Is it one of your favorite pastimes, Rose?
They're so fun.
And then make out with one of the groomsmen.
Excuse me. Don't talk about my past. I'm just kidding. This might be a little bit close.
I know this is feeling like a very
pull it back a little bit.
Intense situation. There we go.
No, but weddings are fun, and getting drunk at weddings is the most fun.
It's true. It's true.
I know. I'm really sad, but I think maybe I'll stick to I'll have 2 glasses of wine and a couple vodka sodas.
Yeah, I think if you pace yourself as well,
yes,
because typically this drinking will start. You'll have dinner and you do eat while you're there, so that's always good.
Unlike some people.
Yeah, unlike some people. So that's always good to do that. And yeah, if you pace yourself, and then but
half marathon the day after, even 2 glasses of wine, I feel like will impact me, But
you can also the thing with the half marathon, it's very much like you do it at your own pace. So if you need to, you can walk.
This is my first half marathon. I want to run it properly. You know what? Maybe I'll do a practice where I'll drink
and then go running the next day.
Exactly.
Good luck with that.
Okay. Anyway, so what else do you like to do on those days when you feel like shit and you want to just So the first one was running, doing some kind of fitness. So I did that 12-kilometer run. I put my music in, just chilled me right out. Yeah, it was awesome. Another thing that I like to do is watch a feel-good show or movie. So my go-to, obviously, as you guys know, is Schitt's Creek, because that movie, that TV show is so good. I actually watched a couple episodes after work today. Yeah. And it's just I feel like those kind of it just makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Those kind of positive vibes. And I just needed that. It's been a It's been a day. It's been a day. It's been a week. It's been a life. Yeah. It's the start of the week, but I'm hopeful that the week will get better. Yeah. I joined a gym as well. So very good. Going to be starting to really pick up my fitness and get into gear to train for this half marathon. Oh God. Well, also, you know what I was thinking about? As part of the training and stuff. So I'm gone to BC at the end of the month. Plus we're going to Montreal. Before the half marathon. So I'm this is going to impact our training. What are we going to do, Rose? Okay, wait, when is the actual half marathon? I think it's on the 18th of September. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm very concerned for my well-being.
I also am, because
like I genuinely am like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm drinking this Friday on Saturday. Maybe I'll try.
God damn.
You know what? I think we just need to learn to like not overdrink.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing. Well, there's two things we have to do: not overdrink, control ourselves, and also make sure to eat.
Well, Daniel, I'm pretty good at this.
I know.
You are very bad at this.
Well, the thing is,
every time, I swear to God, you guys, he needs to be supervised by me all the time. Like, you need to be babysat.
I know, but the issue...
Every time I let you drink by yourself, this happens.
The issue is, quite often, I'll, like, go for drinks after work, right? Like, this was in London, actually, as well. I've been so bad for doing this. Because, like, you would just, like, go with your work colleagues or whatever, or you meet up with people after work for drinks. And, like, you just, like... Even though you're kind of hungry, like you just, I don't know, I would just not forget to have dinner, but I just like got right into like drinking. And the next thing you know, you're drunk. Then you don't, then you don't eat properly. And then the next thing you know, you black out, you fall asleep on a tube, you know, end up at the other side of London, have to take an Uber home.
You speaking from experience?
From multiple experiences. So that's always fun.
Well, I mean, the trick is to not drink so much when you haven't eaten yet. Maybe a couple of drinks, and then you need to have dinner, and then you can drink more.
This is true. This is very true.
It's seriously changed. How many? You know what? I'm not going to keep nagging you because you're going to do this next week anyways.
I know. I'm a 33-year-old man.
Which is shocking.
I should know better.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, I'm a 33-year-old man. You can't tell me what to do.
No. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, like, I legit should know better, guys.
But anyways, yeah.
How was your weekend, Rose?
It was okay. Life is it's okay at the moment. Again, we're both in a bit of a you know.
Sorry if we're a little bit down today. Not down, but like we can let's pick this up.
I feel like even when we're down, we're just like. Rawr.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
We can you know, we can work ourselves up. How do I say?
We can build ourselves up. Start chatting. Start getting excited.
Do you ever though like when you feel like shit? Like, do you ever just like want to like just feel like shit?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Like you just want to
be
a
weird thing.
It
you
is.
know?
Well, it doesn't
like you kind of like the pain.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't go that far.
Not like the pain, but it's like you almost don't want to. No, it's like you want to feel better, but you don't want to do anything to feel better.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Sometimes you get to a place where you're just like, actually, I just want to be left alone. Yes. I want to be by myself. I want to eat some junk food. Yes. I want to fucking watch some cheesy ass TV show and not do anything.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, we've all been there.
Yeah. I need one of those nights.
Oh, God damn, Rose. We all do. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, you guys that are listening, you're having a bit of a better weekend and week than us.
But anyways, shall we do our Patreon shout outs?
We shall. So we have some new Patreons to be thanking.
Yes. You want to start, Daniel?
I sure do. So the first one is we like to give thanks to Joanna.
And Chi-Chi.
And Nikki Monokini.
Nikki Monokini. I love it.
Ooh,
I love that name.
Yes. So thank you so much, guys, for joining our little Patreon community. There's some exciting stuff going to be coming your guys' way.
We are going to do the goddamn bonus episode. We need to do it.
We're doing a bonus.
The bonus.
Yeah, the bonus, which is going to be, for those of you that don't know, we're going to be doing we're going to figure out how we're going to schedule this and everything, but we're going to do like a live stream.
Very soon.
Yeah. So,
because we hit 100 Patrons, but now we lost some.
Yeah, but that's
Tisk. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I totally understand.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Guys.
We're still going to do the 100 Patreon bonus episode.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be really cool too to do a live stream because
it'll be fun.
I feel like one of the things with doing a podcast, because I mean we do obviously put the episodes on YouTube and we read the comments you guys send and we love that, but like a lot of it, it's like we don't really get that feedback loop.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to like, especially with our like Patreon community, to like do a live stream and we can like interact with you guys. You guys can ask us questions like on the spot and just be like, you know, really make it that kind of like intimate session. So I am actually looking forward to it once we figure out the logistics.
Okay, we've been talking about this for like 3 weeks.
No,
we
I know.
need to do it soon.
We'll put some dates. We'll put some dates out and we'll figure it out. Okay,
we'll do it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
at least. Yeah. So if you guys want to join that, then come join our Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/The SaVeg Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, what are the news stories of today, Daniel?
Oh gosh. Well,
are they depressing? Am I gonna cry?
No, you're not.
Am I gonna want to crawl up into my bed and do nothing?
You're not gonna want to do any of those things, Rose.
What am I going to want to do, Daniel?
I don't know. You know, it's a weird. So there's just a couple stories today, but we're going to start with one particular video that's gone viral.
Is it the guy on the flight?
Yes. Have you seen it?
I saw like snippets of it.
Oh my God. This is just priceless, guys. You know, people never cease to amaze me.
Okay, let's go on the video. Okay, wait. But okay, what actually happened?
So apparently, okay, let's read this article. But
okay, so let me just read the title.
Okay.
Video shows Frontier airline passenger duct taped to seat after allegedly groping flight attendants.
Yeah, so basically, before we even go into the article, because I've already read this and I saw some stuff online and everything. So this is allegedly what had happened, okay? So this gentleman, actually, what's his name again?
How old is he?
22.
Okay, he's very young.
22.
Oh, God,
his name
so
was Maxwell Berry,
uh-huh.
right? This guy, he got onto a flight. Now, I guess what had happened, it was a Frontier flight. I've never even heard of this airline. I think it's a U.S. airline.
Wait, I just read this article, SaVeg. There's this like line that's like, Maxwell Berry of somewhere, Ohio, was on a Frontier Airlines flight from Philadelphia to Miami, where he was already intoxicated after drinking 2 alcoholic beverages. Like, that's a little shade.
That's shady. So
like, he was basically a weak sauce.
Yeah, he couldn't handle his alcohol. So, and what had happened was he got onto the flight. I guess he ordered a couple more.
Do you think he had dinner?
I don't. You know what? I don't think he did, Rose. Although even if I didn't have dinner, I wouldn't assault flight attendants. Okay,
it's true. Very true.
That is not in my nature.
Even after 2 alcoholic beverages.
No, I wouldn't. No,
okay,
I wouldn't.
Continue.
So anyway, apparently what had happened was like he got on the flight. He was already intoxicated, I guess, after these 2 beverages. And then he ordered some more drinks on the flight. And what had happened was, I guess he used an empty cup. So he drank one of them.
Yeah.
And like brushed it against the backside of a flight attendant.
Okay.
He also apparently spilled one of the drinks on himself.
Okay.
Because he was, so intoxicated from those 2 beverages.
Okay.
From earlier. And then apparently he also, God, this just gets so bad.
He groped the chest of a flight attendant.
Yep. And then punched a male flight attendant in the face.
Was he by himself? I'm assuming.
I guess. I mean, there's other people on the flight and stuff.
Yeah, but he was alone as a passenger.
Yeah, and basically, I saw part of the video. Like, I haven't watched the whole video, guys. But like in the video, he's just like yelling at these flight attendants because I guess they're getting pissed off with him, and he's like, guys, do you not even know how fucking rich my parents are? Like, my parents are worth so much money, blah, 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 blah. And like, just like getting so aggressive to the point where I guess, and I don't blame the flight attendants for doing this. I would have done probably the same thing.
Yeah. Like duct tape him.
Yes.
So I mean, because you're on a flight, it's not like you can like escort him out at that moment.
It's not like the thing that people forget is like, well, they don't forget, but like you're on a plane. Like what can you do if someone's like belligerently drunk or something? It's not like a bar where you can just like throw them out and get them in a taxi and see you later, or get the police there, take them on a drunk tank. Like you're on the flight for however much time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what are your options?
Does he feel like bad after the fact?
I don't think so. And I think that there was like some like backlash. Like he's like trying to like, I don't know if he's trying to sue the airline, but he's like really pissed off about the way that they duct taped him to a chair, I guess. But like, I would just be,
because I'm trying to feel, I'm trying to empathize, because the more I see these like kind of breakdowns, is that what they're, or like mental, like, I don't even know what this is. Intoxicated, embarrassing activity. I think I'm a part of me wants to feel bad for them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because then it's like somebody's filming that shit.
Yeah.
And putting that all over social media.
That's a part that's,
it is a little like, it's a little tricky, right? Yeah. Because we don't necessarily know, what this person, maybe they have some major mental health problem.
That's very true, actually. Yeah. That's a good point.
So part of me does feel a little bad.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, if that were me, but again, I guess it's so hard to say, but if that were me after the fact, I would be like so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like I would probably like lock myself in a basement and not leave for 2 years.
Oh my God, could you just imagine? Like, I mean, I just see all these things come out and I'm just like, but I do feel like, okay, I'm not speaking on behalf of this gentleman. Right. But like Max Berry or whatever, I think he was arrested actually after.
100% he was arrested.
Yeah.
That is not acceptable behavior.
Yeah, it's not normal behavior. So he definitely was arrested. I'm not sure. He's in custody, I guess. And people were like, I guess they were, again, we don't know the complexities of it. You're right. He might have like mental health issues and stuff. Yeah. But I did see some like not recent, but remember we talked about before, and that at first the story kind of reminded me of this, but again, we don't know exactly the whole intricacies of it. But when you looked at like Soho, remember Soho Karen?
Yes.
And then we also had Central Park Karen.
Sure.
Who actually has recently hit the headlines again because apparently now she's like suing her former employer for like wrongful dismissal and stuff.
Didn't we talk about that a few weeks ago?
I think we might have.
Or maybe we didn't. I can't remember.
We might have not talked about it on the podcast, but again, like her, and then also the girl that attacked that young boy in the hotel lobby because she thought he stole her phone.
That was Soho Karen, right?
Yeah. She also, we talked about her in more detail, but she went on that Gayle King interview.
See, that's the thing. This is where I'm like, listen. But also, I feel like those situations, like I feel like I almost feel bad for him because he was drunk. I think that's the only, you know what I mean? Like, again, like it doesn't excuse his behavior.
Of course.
But because he was drunk, I'm like, maybe he like really didn't know what he was doing.
That's very true.
But at the same time, like the things he was saying, I was like, a normal person would not be saying these things.
Exactly.
Even if you were drunk.
Exactly. It was really distasteful, and everyone was
very,
just like
entitled.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how much my parents make.
Yeah.
You don't know how rich my dad is.
Yeah.
Like my dad can own you. Like just like embarrassing shit.
And like, I'm sorry, but like I hate people that do this kind of shit.
I know.
Like, who gives a fuck what your parents do?
Well,
like,
society apparently.
I know, but I'm like, you're just bragging that you're okay, you're great. Your parents have made all this money and whatever else.
Well, I think what he's saying is he's like threatening them, being like, my dad is powerful.
Yeah. I get that.
Because he got like duct taped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also wonder how drunk he actually was from having 2 drinks.
Yeah.
That's another question.
We don't know if he actually even just had, I mean, they said he had 2 drinks, but
for
maybe
sure.
he was on other substances or...
He could have drank before. They don't know how much he drank.
Exactly.
That's true. This is very true.
So he could have been on some kind of like other substance as well.
True.
Like,
true.
So I just feel like you're right. I feel like, with this one, it is a little bit different only because he was intoxicated.
A little bit, yes. But at the same time, because I don't think he was very remorseful after the fact, I don't feel bad for him at the same time. But I do think all these people definitely have some issues with like, I don't know, some kind of mental health issues.
Yeah, I think it's hard too, especially nowadays. Like, and I have to say, I'm so thankful to kind of, and I think we've mentioned this so many times on this podcast, but like, I'm so thankful to grow up in an era where like, when I was like really young and getting drunk and stuff, like not that many people had smartphones.
Oh my
God.
God.
It was like not a big thing. You know
Honestly,
what I mean?
Some of the shit that could have been online.
I know. Believe me, Rose, I know. And
like, it's so bad.
Fuck my life. I would not want any of that shit to be online.
Yeah.
So,
like, it's embarrassing. It's so bad. So thank God. Yeah. Like, I mean, not that we're not drunk messes at this moment.
Yeah.
But the drunk messes we were when we were like 18, 19, 20. Woo!
I am so
seriously, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, because really like Instagram and smartphones and stuff didn't really start like getting big until like we were 22, 23, right?
For sure.
So
like I feel like I joined Instagram like when it was like 2013 maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like it was not
so long ago.
It was not, I mean, it's still quite a long time ago, but like it wasn't at the time when I was such a mess.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's why I'm thankful. Not that we would do any of this behavior.
Yeah. But we would be drunk messes.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there'd probably be some weird videos of me. Who knows?
But anyway, so he got outed.
And
yeah. So like, I don't really feel bad for him, but I guess it depends on the situation because now we're getting to the point where we're always filming these like random outbursts. And I've seen some footage where people are literally having like a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And then that goes out and I feel so bad for those people. And then,
because like you guys, at the end of the day, like mental health is like such a complex issue, and there's so many things that like go on, right? Like, and any the kind of like not scary thing, but the thing is like with mental health is like any of us. I mean, and obviously some people are more disposed to have mental health breakdowns, but like any of us could just snap one day and have like a really bad like breakdown or something like this.
And we don't know what's going on in people's heads.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So it is hard to say. I do agree though, in some ways, like the behavior. Yeah. We don't know the whole story, but
anyway, so what happened? Oh, but I did hear the drama was that the Frontier Airlines employees
got suspended.
Yeah. That's like kind of
so
fucked up.
I know.
What are they supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So, but that's my whole argument. Like, it's different if you're in a nightclub or a bar. Like if they like duct taped him to a chair in a bar, people will be like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" Like, get the police involved, get him out, take him to the drunk tank. But again, you're like, I don't know, 5,000 feet or 3,000 feet in the air in an isolated aircraft for the next, I don't know, 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So like, there's no other option except for restraining them. And if you don't have restraints, you have to use what you have.
Do they not have anything to like restrain? Like,
I'm not sure. Maybe they do. Like, I don't know. I've never worked on an airline before.
Yeah, they probably should have some kind of like, I don't know, like, you know, the corner of shame, and then just sit like the drunk passengers and then just like tie them somehow with like multiple belts or something. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the time
Did you get into the corner of shame?
I did not, guys. I have never, ever, ever. Actually, no. Oh my God. Actually, I have 2 stories about flights. While I digress, I don't know
these stories.
I don't know if I've told you these ones. So the first one,
I feel like I know one of them, but tell me.
The first one wasn't so bad. Like the first one was like, basically it was just like a very interesting situation that I was on a flight to go to Central America and my seat was broken.
Right.
So I was sitting at like in the close to the front. My seat was broken. So they're like, okay, well, there's only one seat at the very back of the plane. So we're going to have to, did I tell you this, right?
I think so. I think I know this one.
So they took me to the back of the plane and I sat between these 2 guys that were like pretty like burly guys.
Yeah.
That were in restraints. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And I was
like
just
they were tied to the chair.
No. Like
they had handcuffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I just started chatting with them, as you do when you're sitting there. And they were actually really nice guys. They were, but they were actually, the reason they were in handcuffs is they were getting, I guess, deported back to Central America because they like, I don't know, had committed some kind of felony or whatever. And they were, you know, getting deported. So that was an interesting experience.
Oh my God. I love how you chatted with them.
I know. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? I was on the plane for 6 hours with them. Okay. So
I don't know. I don't chat with people on the plane. But Daniel chats with everybody.
No, but sometimes I don't.
Even convicted felons.
Oh God! So that was one plane story. So that's an interesting one.
So funny. What were they saying? What did they do? Do you know? You should have got the tea.
I should have got the tea.
You should have been like, "What did you do?"
I can't remember. I don't think it was anything so bad, but like I don't know. I think maybe it was just a formality that they had to be handcuffed because they didn't seem aggressive. They seemed fine. Like they weren't.
Daniel, you just never know.
This is true. You never know. They could have been, double homicide being, fucking sent back. So that was an interesting experience. It was fine. And I don't think if they were serious criminals, like if they were super serious criminals, they would be on their own flight. Do you know what I mean? Like it was probably maybe like
you really think that they're going to get a private jet for?
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know how this works.
I think that they would.
Did they have a police officer with them?
Yes, there was a officer.
I'm sure they did something. Maybe it wasn't like homicide.
Yeah.
But like
it would have been
it was like a drug offense or something.
I think it might have been. I'm not 100% sure. So this was years ago, guys.
Tell me the second.
And then the second story about being, and it kind of ties in with this one about being really, really drunk on a flight. I've only ever been super drunk on one flight in my life, really embarrassingly.
And this is the story.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
You guys ready for this story time? This is embarrassing.
I don't know if I've ever heard this one.
I can't remember if I told you. So basically, me and my friend had booked a weekend away to Valencia in Spain.
Yeah.
And it happened to be
I think I've heard
on the night of both of our Christmas parties. So we were like, okay, look, we're both going to go to our Christmas parties, have a couple drinks.
This is the influence I have. Do you think I'm going to survive in this half marathon? Continue.
And then have a couple of drinks. And then we're like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to my apartment because I still had to pack. I was going to pack. And then we were going to take I think we had booked like a bus ticket to get to the airport.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're like, great. We both left our Christmas parties relatively sober. Actually, we were fine. Got together at a decent time. It was like 10 o'clock. And we're like, oh, it's only like 10 o'clock. Why don't we stop for like one drink in this bar over here?
This makes it 10 times worse.
I know. Go to this bar. Next thing I know, we're both fucked, but I am really, really fucked. Like
you're blackout.
Pretty much.
Okay.
We get to my apartment. I don't remember packing my suitcase. Okay. We ended up having to take an Uber, which was so expensive.
Right.
To like the
because
airport.
You missed the bus.
Yeah. Cause we there's no way we could caught the bus because it was like 4 a.m. at this point. It was like fucking crazy. And we take the Uber. I don't remember going through security. I don't remember getting onto the flight. Found my seat somehow. As soon as we got on the plane, I passed out. And then I woke up when we were landing.
Oh my God, Daniel.
And I was just like, wow.
And that was how many years ago?
Like maybe 4. Oh, it's so
Daniel,
bad, guys. What not to do in life, okay? What not to do.
I love this.
Oh, God. Did I told you that story, right? Or did I not?
Every time I wake up hungover and I'm questioning my existence, questioning my choices, questioning my life, and I text you, you always make me feel a little better about myself.
Yeah.
Because you always have a worse night than I do.
You know what, Rose?
You're always like, oh my God, Rose. I won't say anything.
Okay, yeah, please don't. But you can always count on me to cheer you up, Rose. So, and if anyone else, if you need some cheering up about some drunken, you're feeling bad, you went on a night out, you did something embarrassing, don't worry. I've probably done worse. So
what cracks me up is that you guys were so responsible, and then you just had to like have that one drink at the bar, and you just couldn't do it.
I know.
You just couldn't do it. And then what cracks me up even more is the fact that you got through the entire the entire security.
God knows how I did
that drunk. But you're actually quite good at like hiding your drunkenness a little bit.
I think when I get to blackout, I like somehow just like
get into protection mode or whatever, self-preservation mode.
Yeah, I compose myself even though I won't remember anything.
Oh my God.
I somehow make it through.
That is Does it scare you when you black out?
Oh my God, it's so bad. And this is like, I don't know about everyone else like listening to this podcast. I don't know, like, I never used to have this issue.
Yeah, I remember.
I
always blacked out. And then I was always jealous because you never blacked out.
I never, up until like my whole uni. And in uni, I used to like, obviously everyone like parties a lot in uni and stuff. Well, not everyone, but like, and we would drink a lot. Like I would be so belligerently drunk, like, sick, just horrible.
God, we sound like alcoholics.
I know.
Continue.
We're not this bad anymore.
Okay, Daniel.
Speak for myself.
We literally just talked about how you didn't eat the other day.
Never mind.
Continue.
But like I never used to black out. And then once I hit like 23, 24.
Yeah.
After that, it's like really sporadic. So
that's so crazy.
It hits me in like
means you did some kind of brain damage, probably.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, blackout must have some kind of brain damage.
Oh God, Rose, I don't want to think about it. Okay, I'm like, we're always every year that we get older, we're already losing brain cells, and I don't want to think about all the brain cells I've killed from my enjoying my life going out. So
just a little too much.
Oh God damn.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, wow, that was a tangent and a half, but I very much enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing that with me, Daniel.
Were you living for it, Rose?
I was. I think it's gonna make me feel better next time I am drunk out of my mind, Oh, great. Another fantastic piece of news, Daniel.
Yes. So
Let's keep making us feel bad and our listeners feel bad about the goddamn climate.
I know. So guys, I feel like it would be unjust for us to
It's true. We do need to talk about it. And I'm actually like every day I am concerned.
Yeah. Have you heard about this report though that they just released?
No, but I kind of want to cry.
I know.
Can you read it, please?
So basically, I'm going to try to like move this so I can kind of like get a little bit closer and read it.
Okay.
So basically, I guess, I think it was yesterday or like recently, I guess there was this like report that's been released.
Yeah.
Which basically is saying we are at a code red, whatever that means.
Code red probably means it's a fucking dangerous situation.
It's a disaster. So, and this is a climate change report, guys. And we're like code red for humanity.
Yeah.
So some highlights of this report. So the landmark study warns of increasing extreme I can't even read. Heat waves, droughts, flooding, and a key temperature limit being broken in just over a decade. The report is a code red for humanity, says the UN chief. Oh God.
Oh God, it is not looking good.
I know. So they're just like, we're looking at a graph right now, guys. You can look this up. Just like type in like, climate change. I'm sure this report will come up.
IPCC report.
Yeah.
What is IPCC?
I don't know what it stands for.
It's okay. Continue.
But basically it's showing like a graph of temperatures around the world. And if you look at what's happened since about it's been rising a little bit, but since like 1950s-ish.
Since the rise of extreme capitalism, perhaps?
But then look at how bad.
I know. It's
from
like
2000
spikes up.
In the last 20 years, it's like really bad. And I mean, it's like on the graph, it shows, okay, the overall climate's risen by almost 1.5 degrees Celsius from like the 1850s.
Oh my God. What's going to happen? Okay, let's read the key points.
Here's some key points, guys. Global surface temperature was 1.09 degrees higher in the decade between 2011 to 2020 than between 1850 to 1900. So that means like in those time periods, when you compare those time periods, like the surface level of the whole world, when you take, I guess, the average, it's 1 degree higher. Which, I mean, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually substantial.
Yeah, it's substantial, yes.
Because the thing is, and I was watching, I think it was the David Attenborough documentary.
Yeah.
But he was saying, like, the one thing that's, like, really been a key to, like, humans up until now, us thriving on this planet and stuff, is we've actually been in a very relatively what's it called? Relatively stable environment.
Okay.
And what that means, some people might be like, oh, what are you talking about? Like some places they'll still get the seasons, but it's been relatively like consistent. Do you know what I mean? Like we get a winter, spring, summer, fall, and certain areas have certain time or certain temperature patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
But it stayed relatively similar for like centuries.
Right.
And now it's like starting to get hotter and hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
The rate of this, guys, I don't know. This is actually a really depressing article.
But like, this is so important.
I know.
Like, it's unfortunately, we're going to have to, we made our bed. We got to lie in it. You know what I mean?
So the recent rate of sea level rise has nearly tripled when you compare. So the recent, I guess, recently in the last like 20 years or so, has tripled compared to the 70 years from 1901 to 1970.
So as in the last few years, we've tripled compared to 70 years from 1901 to 1970.
Yeah.
The past 5 years have been the hottest on record since 1850.
Yeah. And the reason they say 1850, and I could be wrong here, guys, is I think around 1850 is when they started recording global temperatures.
Okay.
So that's why they say, so basically the last 5 years that we've had have been the hottest since we've started recording these temperatures. The past 5 years, Rose.
Okay, so what is going to hold on. Okay, it is virtually certain that hot extremes, including heat waves, have become more frequent and more intense since the 1950s, while cold events have become less frequent and less severe. Which, I mean, we've seen it in the summer, let's be honest.
Like, I mean, and even just like, because like, we always say about like how where we live in Calgary, it's like a bit of a more sheltered area.
Yes.
But I think even in the last kind of 5-6 years, we've been feeling this as well. Like, you know, we mentioned like look at our winter, just this winter, for example, the last 2 winters actually
true
have been so mild. We still got like our minus 20 to 30 couple of weeks, but it was like a couple of weeks. Do you remember like literally this year, guys, the whole month of January, just about, we could go for walks outside, like easily go for a really nice
like
long
without
walk.
Like a million layers.
Exactly. With like just a jeans, a jacket, some boots.
And like we enjoyed it, but like in all seriousness, if you look at the bigger picture,
it's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah. And then look at how hot our summers are getting now. Like they're actually getting so hot.
Okay, so what do we do?
I don't know, Rose. It doesn't say in the article what we gonna do.
It says such outcomes, while unlikely, would threaten many millions. Wait, what is
this? Has to do with the rise of sea levels. So they were saying that a rise of around 2 meters by the end of the century cannot be ruled out, and neither can a rise of 5 meters by 2150.
What?
And such outcomes, while unlikely, will threaten many millions more people that are living in coastal areas. So a lot of people that live like, it's still okay. This is the thing. It's like we're getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and we're feeling those effects right now. I think the hard thing is like, but we still have to tackle this because 2150. Like most of us aren't probably going to be around in 2150. Like that's like what 100 and something years.
That's
years
a long
away.
time.
But like our children's children will.
Yeah, and we're also not talking about that's like the extreme. We're talking about like later on. But like, look at the devastation that's already causing, right?
I know.
So it's not like we're not already seeing the impacts of this. So currently we're already seeing all these wildfires, all these like flooding.
Yeah.
Like how many people died this year from like wildfires, flooding, extreme heat?
Exactly. I think the scary thing that like, and again, guys, we don't want to like try to like freak everyone out too much.
But we need to talk about this.
I know. The thing that scares me about climate change is it's not like one of those things where it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically it's kind of like that snowball. I think I've talked about this before, that snowball that's rolling down the hill, in a sense that like, as things are happening, it increases the rate of things happening. Do you know what I mean? Because everything is all interlinked, and it's just like, it's just not great. It's not great, Rose. It'd be scary as hell.
Okay. So what do we do? Because nobody wants to do anything, and that's the scary part.
I know. I think that they're.
Are we at the point of no return?
I don't know. Like, it says we're at a code red. Does that mean we can't change any of this stuff that's going on? I guess there is some, I guess, not silver lining, but they're saying, I guess there's a global summit that's happening in November in Glasgow, and hopefully. You know, well, I put faith, and you know what? I shouldn't put blind faith into political leaders, because it does feel like this is a global problem, but nobody wants to address it. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we're fucked. We're fucked. We're just fucked.
It'd be scary as hell. And I think the challenge is like we've created this society where
it's like impossible to be like, okay, let's just stop doing all this now.
Yeah. Like,
and everyone's relying on all this stuff. Like we've now become reliant on all these technologies that fuck up our system.
Yeah.
You know, and also, I mean, we have these huge industries
that are making so much money, and
exactly.
They're never like that's the big thing. The root cause of all of this. Well, it's not just capitalism, right?
But like, I mean, the numbers are clear.
Yeah.
Like when did capitalism, like extreme capitalism, become super popular? You know, in the world around that time when the temperature started rising so much.
It's interesting because like if you watch that documentary that's on Netflix called, I believe it's called Capital.
Yeah.
They talk about like up until about the 50s was like a really good time, I guess a good time for humanity in a sense that like the middle class was growing.
Right.
You didn't have, and then all of a sudden it was like getting crazy. You know what I mean? This like huge, not that they didn't have extremely rich people before, but like it was like this extreme capitalism. And you're right. Like,
but it was almost like because of this growth in middle class as well, this allowed so many people to at this point be, because before maybe like rich people, it was like extremely wealthy people.
Yeah.
And then very poor people.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. Which is also not good. But then when you just have like a couple people that are like really rich and like eating up all the resources, it's not really going to make a huge impact.
Because there's less of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's much less, right? But then now with the rise of the middle class and with the rise of, you know, all these industries, capital, like all these things, in part, it was a good thing that we have a stronger middle class, but because we were just focused on growing and growing and growing, now like all these people can now consume just as much as maybe the rich people did in the past.
Exactly. And I think that there's a few issues in our general, like, I mean, and we're all not victims. We're all
victims and perpetrators.
Exactly. Victims and perpetrators of this. Like, in a sense, like one of the biggest problems, especially in like the Western world. And so I don't know how much like is, what's it called? Like consumerism or kind of like we need things all the time. We need to buy the newest gadgets. We need to get all this stuff. We need the newest devices, the newest all the time. And we forget that like all of these things take resources, right?
Yeah.
So,
and we have to eat meat 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
I honestly, guys, like, I don't know what the answer is. I think that there's steps that need to be taken. And I think what eventually is going to have to happen is somehow, and I don't know how this is going to happen, but like somehow there's going to have to be a crackdown where, you know, we as a society are like, we can't, like, I don't know, like.
Yeah. I think there needs to be many things, right? Yeah. There needs to be like change from like the industry level. So governments need to put like major regulations, things like this. Yeah. Like we need some extreme change from that systemic top level. Yeah. And then we also need people, consumers.
Changing consumer behavior.
Consumer behavior. So stop eating fucking meat all the time.
Okay, like this is the thing. So I think that's that's two really good points. I think that we are, and again, guys, this is just us kind of shooting shit right now, having chat. Like we don't have all the answers, guys, but actually it does make sense. If you think about it from that perspective, the two biggest things that will have impacts, lasting impacts, I think, is government stepping in and, you know,
consumer demand,
right? So it's like government stepping in by saying, okay, there's certain things that companies have to do. Companies will have to follow that. You know what I mean? If they want to operate in those countries, they have to follow it. And it has to be a global.
Oh God, this is the problem.
Yeah, this is the issue. We could do all those regulations in Canada, but then if all the other countries aren't doing it, or I'm just using that as an example, but like, it's like that example of like me and you being in the boat. Yeah. Like if we're shoveling out water, but then you have like 20 people with hoses pouring water into the boat, we're all going to sink still, right? So.
And we'd be sinking.
I know, we'd be sinking really fast,
Especially we'd be above, you know, what did you call a meth lab?
Oh yeah, oh goddamn, yeah.
Here's the thing, that's another problem, right? Like we have, I know a lot of people in the U.S. obviously believe in climate change. Yeah. And they're also just as desperate as we are. Yeah. But then also so many people, maybe an equal number of people, maybe not equal, but like very large number of people don't believe in it. Yeah. And not even just that, but like their government does not believe in it. Yeah. So nothing can get done.
Exactly.
Like,
But that's not just the US. There's a lot of places. Think about
it's definitely not just the US.
Exactly.
But the US is one of the most powerful.
Yeah, they are.
That's
and I think,
the difference.
I think you're right. That's a huge impact. But there's lots of countries out there where, obviously like high government corruption.
Yeah.
And they're not able to get these things done either. And you're right. Like, so the two,
like China, we're fucked, man.
The two biggest things that need to happen are probably are not going to happen fast enough or soon enough.
Look at the two superpowers of the world, China
and the US.
They don't give a fuck. Okay?
Well, it's not that necessarily, you're right. Like, there's people there that know that this is a real challenge, but you're right. The governments and in place and the way that the industry and capitalism has like grown in and controls everything basically. It's like people never going to change.
That money.
Yeah.
People just care about that bottom line. And I just what shocks me is I'm like, do you not worry about your children?
Yeah.
Do you not these people have children? And to me, it's like, do they think because I have a lot of money, I'll be okay because I can find shelter and stuff or whatever?
Maybe. I don't know. I really think that
they not believe in it.
Exactly. I really think that there's a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but people are just detached from it. Do you know what I mean? I think that's part of the issue. We talked about changing consumer behavior and stuff.
Yeah.
And and I know we've talked about this again on this podcast so many times, but a huge factor of what, one thing that consumers could do to kind of combat climate change is reduce or eliminate meat and animal products from their diet.
Yeah.
But people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And people are, but just not to the same level that needs to be done. Right. And again, it's not saying that those are necessarily bad people, but they just for whatever reason, they've detached themselves from that piece. And, it's so hard. Because, even my parents, they're still, eating meat and stuff. And, I've talked to them so many times, but it's almost not out of sight, out of mind, but they have detached the two. They don't see it as the same thing.
Well, because they're thinking, even if I stop eating meat, everyone else is eating meat, so it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, and look at even in Rose, even in the.
Well, I had a piece of hair.
Okay. Just keeping an eye on yous, Rose. Even in our city, it's we'll have these new restaurants that open up, that are
they're
just
all fucking steakhouses. Kill me.
All steakhouses, all meat, and I'm just oh my God, this is just such a bad.
Everyone's just
thing.
so blind, and they're like, oh my God, I wonder why it's so hot.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening, and there's so many factors. There's been research upon research upon research, and there's. I would say majority, because there are a few fringe scientists that don't necessarily agree.
They are bought by the fucking industries.
But I think by now, at this point, there's 90% of scientists. Or something.
It's 90-something%.
Yeah, I'm throwing numbers out, guys, but I'm pretty sure we could find something to substantiate this. There's a huge majority, well, let's just say majority.
Yes.
Majority of scientists now agree that this is a serious issue and that we are, without a doubt, contributing to what's going on in the environment. And it's not just the argument that, the Earth's temperatures and weather patterns fluctuate. They fluctuate.
How do you look
at
that chart and still be in denial?
But it's because they argue the events that happened in the past. With the extinction of the dinosaurs, there was a huge mysterious weather patterns and things that happened. But it's just. But
that chart where it says from the 50s, it was shh.
Yeah. And we can't dispute that has to be.
God, I just love non-scientists thinking that they're scientists. You know,
well, there's so many.
I don't pretend to be a scientist. But I listen to the scientists that are scientists.
Exactly. And when you are presented with so much data, much information, guys, we could go on and go into a rabbit hole, find facts, figures, and yes. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of these are projections and some of them are hypotheses and everything else.
Of course, they're all hypotheses.
They might not necessarily every single one of them come true. They might disagree a little bit as to the severity of what's going to happen, but they can all agree on one thing that, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So, oh God, guys, it's just,
problem.
It's
and the thing is, people have been predicting this for decades at this point. We've been talking about this for decades. I remember Al Gore, that documentary came out.
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah. 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember watching that. I think that was the first time when I learned about this. That
was
properly.
The first time I think I did as well.
And I was we fucked.
And that was back then.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And now things have gotten worse. I mean,
what are people going to do?
I know.
this is scary.
Yeah.
There's like fires and shit in like Turkey and Greece.
There's so much. Well, basically there's extreme weather patterns happening
everywhere,
all over the world now. Like,
and like we feel it. Like now, like it's not even just a theory, you know.
Yeah.
Like we definitely feel it.
We can see it. We see it happening globally.
Yeah.
So
we've had extreme hot weather in Canada, you guys. In Canada.
I know we hit. So for the first time ever, guys, for those of you that aren't in Canada, this summer we hit the highest temperature ever recorded in Canada ever, guys.
Yeah.
We had like literally basically like towns explode from how fucking hot it was. And this summer, like
it was 49 degrees.
Yeah, 49. It was 49.7 or something.
Oh my God,
it was
disgusting.
Almost 50 degrees. And which doesn't happen. Like this is not normal temperatures for us to be getting.
Yeah.
Even in a heat wave. Like, Calgary, even when I was growing up, we'd sometimes have a random heat wave.
Our heat wave was like 30 degrees.
I know, but that's what it would be. It would be like 30 degrees for a week.
Yeah.
Now it's like this summer, even in Calgary, we hit record temperatures.
Yeah.
The most like, huge, and for the longest period of time, like consecutive days. And our summer has, and again, part of me is like, I enjoy the heat, but at the same time, it's like, this is not good.
Yeah. But you know what's sad? Because whoever's listening to this, we're preaching to the choir.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like people that are listening to this already agree with us. I mean, I'm sure most people.
Yeah, they might agree to disagree. Well, not agree to disagree, but they might have a different.
They might think it's not maybe as crazy.
Yeah.
But fucking code red.
I know.
Like I feel.
Oh.
What do we do? Like, are we like what do we do, Daniel? What's the? Do they not have a solution? Like,
well, I would hope that maybe like these climate summits, like there must be something that's going to come from it. Like
I think the problem is like, even if we get people to, it has to come from top up. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Of course, like top up and bottom up approach is the best.
That's the only way it's going to exactly. Yes. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. But the problem is if it's just bottom up, like grassroots, it's not going to happen fast enough.
Yeah.
And there's too many industries that are so strong and so powerful that like, I don't think it'll make the change fast enough. Even if like, let's say, I don't know, like a bunch of people went vegan tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I don't think it would make the change fast enough at this point. Like, I think it would help maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But these industries are so strong. And the problem is also like, even if like, let's say meat consumption is going down. This is my concern about this whole thing. Like if meat consumption is going down, I think in like Canada and the US, maybe a little bit. But then countries like China, which have billion people, it's going up.
Yeah.
Because now they're kind of like they're still, I mean, at this point, they're like a fucking economic powerhouse.
Yeah.
But like, but their middle class has been growing steadily, right? So it's almost like they had their like rise of capitalism in the last, few years.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're now enjoying, quote unquote, the benefits, quote unquote, of like living that like more luxurious life. And that means more meat.
Yeah.
In Asia, like eating meat is kind of like a sign of prosperity.
Of wealth. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and even in countries like Korea, for example, Korea is a smaller country, so it wouldn't make such a big impact. But the amount of meat that Koreans eat now is so much more.
Yeah.
Like if you like if you see how like grandmas and grandpas eat, they eat a lot of like plant-based food.
Veggies. Yeah.
Mostly veggies. Most of our side dishes are veggies. They don't eat a huge thing of meat. That's not a common thing. But now
it's like
everyone's eating meat every single time.
But that's why I agree with you in a sense that it needs to be it's a bottom up but also a top down, right?
Mostly top down,
I think that's where we
that's where the bottom up activism has to also
exactly. And I think as we start putting more pressure on the government and as we see, because what's going to happen is like we're going to see more and more of these extreme climate changes. And as more and more people start to get fed up with it, they are going to put pressure, hopefully, on the governments and start making their own changes, but also try to get some regulation or something in place. Because the problem with capitalism, not the main problem, there's so many problems, but one of the issues with unregulated capitalism is that if a company is making money, they will continue to do whatever it is that's making them money.
Exactly.
The only reason that they would reduce what they're doing or change what they're doing is if they weren't making money from it or if they were prohibited from doing it.
Right.
Or restricted in some way. Otherwise, they're not changing their behavior.
Or they were heavily taxed for some reason.
Money talks in capitalism.
Exactly.
And these companies, these multi-billion-dollar companies are not going to make any changes unless there's some pressure from the top down.
Oh God, Daniel.
But the governments, a lot of them are like,
they're corrupt.
I know, and they're funded by these companies. I don't know, guys.
Exactly.
I don't know. Anyway,
this is why it is a very scary situation we have, because it's almost like we feel powerless. Like, and every time I do like a Q&A on Instagram, people always ask me, they're like, what do I do about this like despair that I feel about what's happening with this climate? I really try to give like good advice, but I also feel the same thing. But I try to like, for example, be like, I try to be like, we can't think about this 24/7 because that's a recipe for severe anxiety, of course. And there's nothing we can do really other than what we can change.
Exactly. And I think it is important though, guys, for those of you that are listening. I think steps that I've like personally started doing and stuff is like just focusing on, you know, and obviously these are like small little things, but like, again, like plant-based lifestyle, for example, you know, reducing that meat, animal agriculture
severely. We have to reduce it severely, guys,
so much. So that's one thing.
Again, we're preaching to the choir, but
I know you guys know this. But another thing also, just like little things like making sure that you're recycling when you go to the grocery store. Take your own bag. Don't be using like the plastic bags. Like little things like this do make a change if we're all doing it. And it's little things. And also, and this one's easier said than done, because like I feel like we all do this sometimes, but try to like think about when you're buying something, like, do I actually need this thing, right? Like, don't just be like, oh, I need to buy like a bazillion things to fill my house, because you don't actually need all that stuff, right?
Or even when you choose a house to live, do we really need to live in a mansion for 2 people?
Exactly. This is another point. That's a very good point. Like,
people, like, we are so spoiled here in North America. Like, we live in giant homes when we really don't need to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strain on resources.
It's a huge strain.
And so little things like this, start thinking about that, being mindful. Those are little changes I think we can all start doing.
Yeah. Sharing articles like this to your social media feed, maybe Facebook. God knows.
Lord
Facebook
knows.
is a fucking dark place now.
When did Facebook become so dark?
I honestly don't. When did this shift happen? Because
I don't know.
Remember there was like a time when like everyone used Facebook, like everyone our age used Facebook.
It's so funny because I literally was Skyping my friend the other day from the UK. We met backpacking. Yeah. So that was like, 10 years ago. Oh God. But anyway, honestly, Facebook back then, because I like barely use Facebook now.
Like, nobody does. Not our age.
I know. But Facebook back then was like such a interesting place in a sense, like it was a connecting place. Like I had all my friends on there. Anybody I met traveling, I would have them on there. And then I used like Facebook Messenger to like stay in touch with them or if I was going places. And also I used to like post pictures on there and share like my travel albums.
I used to love sharing photos on Facebook.
And that's all I would use it for. And it felt like such a nice place, and people would put their statuses. And then there's a couple things that happened. Number one, and I don't know when this happened, but like obviously Facebook started posting so many fucking ads.
Yes. I think that's where it went down.
Yeah. And then once that started happening, I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to, because I was going through my feed and like, because you used to have your feed and you could see what your friends were doing and see their albums and stuff. And there never used to be any ads in there. And then all of a sudden, all this random shit that you didn't care about started coming up. And then I think this stuff is like what started like polarizing people on Facebook. Yeah. Partially is the problem. And then Facebook became this like, honestly, guys, like some of these articles, like sponsored articles and things that come up, I'll like go to the article. And again, I'm rarely on Facebook. And oh my God, the comment section. Oh God. Holy shit. There are some fucking wild people out there.
I know, right? Anyone now that uses Facebook is like my God. Old, like boomer. It's like a boomer fucking, like, I don't like.
But it is like become a very toxic place.
It really has. And like, I don't know why though. It like kind of migrated to older people using it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm confused.
But also I don't know why it went from like this like normal place where like it was such a nice space
because of what happened. I think they did it on purpose though, right? Because first the goal when you first, like for example, launch a social media website, that the goal isn't to advertise right away.
No, of course.
The goal is to get as many people on that platform as possible. Yeah. And that's what Facebook did. Yeah. So that's why they created such a great space for all of us to, add people and connect with people. Yeah. And in some ways it was fantastic.
At the time,
But we were so naive and we didn't realize that there was a different goal. Yeah, nothing is free. There was a different goal in mind. That's where they got all your information. Yeah. Your, how old you are, what kind of things you like. Oh, your likes and dislikes or whatever the fuck. And, your activities. And then that's when they can start rolling in the ads, because before you have all the entire audience, you can't roll out ads. And then
because then people not use it.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's all these Facebook pages, and I don't know exactly how it got so polarized, but partially it's because of like the target marketing, right?
Yeah. This is the thing is even like, and they talked about this
in that social dilemma.
Yeah. And basically they were saying about like it's this targeted. In some ways it can be good, but it can also be really bad because like, for example, like that targeted marketing, I actually have found some things that have come up where I'm like, oh, interesting. Like I was looking for a trip to Portugal or something, and all these great Airbnbs came up. I was like, oh my God, that's an amazing deal. Went and checked it out and actually did go and buy something from these pop-up ads. But then also it can just like, the algorithm can get really crazy and like this random shit gets populated, but it starts to polarize because it really focuses in on
niches
certain,
Yeah, it's funny because I was just talking to my mom about this today, and she was saying how like sometimes there's there's some crazy Korean like newspaper, and it's like very extreme, and sometimes she'll like click on it just to like see how crazy people are. And then after she clicks on it, all she gets fed are those articles from that newspaper. So if you read one article that's like, oh, climate change is not real, all of a sudden you are fed all of those articles
from the algorithm.
So then you start to get brainwashed.
Well, and they said this in this social dilemma as well, guys. A great documentary. Watch it. It's on Netflix. But they said, and it does kind of make sense to like human psychology and stuff. But they're like, okay, for example, myself, like very like more on the liberal side. I think there are some good from capitalism, but I'm not so pro capitalism as you guys all know. Same with Rose. But let's say I watched one video that happened to be pro-capitalism, but like not like an extreme one, but kind of like semi, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then they start feeding me the similar kind of level of videos for a while.
Right.
I start watching more and more of those.
And then you get further into the rabbit hole.
Exactly. Then it starts getting more dark stuff, more like deeper into it. True. And it can really veer you off onto a path. Yeah. And I don't think that was the intention of, the intention of the algorithm and the intention of all the ads is to get you to buy stuff, right? But like it's have this like dark underbelly now where it can like really lead people, especially people that are easily influenced, off onto a tangent. Yeah. Yeah. Like really, really crazily.
Oh God.
So
how do we get into this topic?
Oh gosh.
Oh, Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook and how, because I feel like Facebook is where a lot of those climate change isn't real articles would be.
Right. Yeah.
Just like pulled on there. And
is Instagram next?
Well, pardon me, guys. Instagram is another one where I've noticed. Yeah. Because it never used to be like this. And I'm becoming less and less like wanting to go on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I think all platforms are going to be like this at some point.
I'm almost like, because like part of me is like, I want to like sometimes remove my socials, but then at the same time, I'm like, I'm connected with so many people internationally.
Exactly.
Where I'm like, all my international friends, even though I don't see them all the time, like if I was to go to a certain country, it might have been a friend I haven't seen for like 10 years, but I'd message them.
Totally.
Right?
That's one good thing about still having a Facebook.
Exactly. This is the thing. So they kind of got you. But even with Instagram, I've noticed like there are so many ads on there now.
Yeah, there are.
Like it's actually ridiculous. Like I'll go onto like, like the stories and stuff. Yeah. Every second one or even sometimes every other one.
Paid ad. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And even when you scroll through the feed now, it's just so many paid advertisements. I'm just kind of like, oh, this is not really, I'm not here to be just advertised to all the time.
Yeah, so, I know. I don't know what's next.
But that's why I like, I think these streaming services are somewhat like, for example, like I'm on Netflix, Spotify, these kind of things.
You like those?
Because you pay for them.
Sure.
Because I was using Spotify, the free one, and obviously you get ads and everything else.
Yeah.
But as soon as and this is the kind of catch-22, as soon as you start paying for something,
you don't get the ads.
You don't get the ads. Like
just
Netflix,
like our Patreon.
Exactly. That's a very good plug, Rose. Thank you.
I also pay for YouTube Premium because I don't like to see the ads either. Sorry, guys. I know there's ads on my videos too. This is the thing. It's like you got to make money. Advertising is normal. Blah blah blah. But then. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough.
But I get it. But like, even if you're paying for YouTube Premium,
sure.
The thing is, the videos that you watch, those creators are still gonna get.
I wonder how that works.
Yeah, no, you get both, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, you get the ad revenue, and then you get like revenue from that. But anyway, guys, that was a little tangent and a half.
What's the next story about Joe Rogan?
The last story. Have you not heard about all the Joe Rogan?
I really haven't been. I've been so busy. I haven't like paid attention to
It's not such a scandal.
It's a scandal.
And it's not even that. It's not that surprising.
He's always in a scandal.
Yeah, even given that it's Joe Rogan. But basically,
what are your thoughts on Joe Rogan?
To be honest, okay, this is kind of bad. I should probably watch him just for research as to like how to make a podcast, because his podcast is fucking huge.
It's huge.
It's like
it's the biggest one I think in the world.
I think he's like the biggest podcaster. Yeah. And I should probably watch that to like get ideas and tips and tricks for ours. But like, anyway, I don't think I've ever watched a full episode.
I watch. Yeah, I've never watched a full episode. I watch like small snippets or listen to small snippets that he like posts on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Yeah. I think he was just very early on in the game. Like
that's exactly what it was.
I think he started podcasting before people even knew what podcasting was.
And that's and that's the thing. That's
and
part
he already had it. He was already a celebrity, right?
Yeah, he had like, because he was a UFC announcer or something.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and he was in like Fear Factor.
Yeah, so he had like a pull. But basically, the reason why, and again, guys, this isn't actually that big of news, but I guess he did like an episode, or maybe it was like a couple episodes where he talked about all this stuff going on with the vaccine, and the vaccine is gonna like, talking about the vaccine polarizes people anyway.
Sure.
So his first
okay, tell me, is he complaining that it's gonna be mandatory? Yeah. Oh my god. So he is becoming more and more like extreme, I feel.
Like on the conservative side,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Because before he was kind of like back and forth.
Yeah.
But okay, let's.
So basically, the title of the article, guys, Joe Rogan rips vaccine passports as moving the U.S. closer to dictatorship. So I guess in the episode that he was discussing about these, the U.S. is like talking about, and actually a lot of countries are talking about having this idea or this concept of having a vaccine passport.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Rose?
I mean, that's if you want to eat at like restaurants and, stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, listen. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Mm-hmm. This is not new.
I know.
This is not a new concept. Having pretty much mandatory vaccines is, I'm sorry, not really a new concept. When we were in elementary, we got vaccinated. Did we not?
We did, yeah.
Maybe we could have opted out. I don't know.
I don't really know. Like I think it was like pretty.
If you want to go to school with other kids,
yeah,
you got to get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. This is not new information. If you want to go, when I went to Serengeti, when I went to Africa, I had to get like a bunch of vaccines. I had to get like yellow fever vaccine. I had to get like a bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm.
I think his argument, I mean, and I get, okay, so he's saying why he doesn't like these vaccines.
Well, what are your thoughts? Sorry, before we continue with what he thinks.
So I also agree with you in a sense that like, okay, can somebody kind of explain to me, I guess it's like, there's certain rules that we have in place for things, right? Like
for society.
Yeah. For example, like, and I'm not sure where I sit with this,
like
but
I kind of get it to a small amount.
Because exactly, I can see kind of on both sides. Yes. Obviously, I'm leaning to one side, as you guys know. But like, for example, like if you want to go to a bar, you have to show ID, and like some of those bars might like scan your ID, and if you don't have ID, you're not getting in. I get it that to get an ID, you still have to take a test and stuff, but maybe you don't have to inject anything into your body, which is what you have to do with the vaccine. So I get like that part of it where it's like, oh, like I should be able to make that choice if I want to take the vaccine. But then I would say on the flip side, we live in a capitalistic society. So I would argue then restaurant owners, bar owners.
Yes! Sorry.
God damn, Rose, you be getting too excited over here, Rose. Then on the flip side, if you're saying my body, my choice, then the restaurant owners should say my business,
my restaurant, my choice.
Exactly. So if restaurant owners and they say, you know what, I want my patrons to feel safe, I'm going to make it a mandatory thing that you have to have a vaccine passport.
Well, that's the thing. Are they even is this even happening the way that they are like making it seem like it's happening? Isn't it their choice whether or not they want to, take up the vaccine passports?
I don't know what it's like happening in the States. Like, I really don't. I know that, for example, a perfect example of this was Stampede. So we had like Stampede is the big festival that we have here in Calgary for like 2 weeks in July. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they were doing, which is kind of, I don't know, it's not exactly like a COVID passport, but like you did have to, if you wanted to go into the beer tents, you had to prove that you'd been vaccinated either first or second dose within the last, 2 weeks.
Did they actually check though?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. I went.
Oh, inside the actual
Stampede. You had to go there, and then they would like look you up on a system, I think, and stuff, and then they gave you a bracelet. Yeah. However, if you didn't have the vaccines, then you had to subject to a rapid test.
Right. Okay.
So there was one or the other.
Right.
But I guess some people's argument is like, if somebody's not vaccinated and they go to like an event, right, and everyone else is vaccinated except for that one person, really they're only putting themselves at risk.
Sure.
But at the same time, again, you have to like, it's more complex than that, right? Yeah. Like it's like,
yeah. Here's the thing. There are rules of living in a society. We do not live in a completely free and open society, unfortunately. Unless you want anarchy, that's not what we're living. There are rules. Like you said, if you want to go to a bar, you got to, be a certain age. Yeah. You got to show your ID. There are things that you have to do if you want to do certain things in a society. We have to wear clothes when we go outside. What about my body, my choice? Can't I go outside wearing no clothes? Isn't that like an infringement on my freedom? You could make this argument about so many things.
I know.
If you want to drive a car, you need to have a license. If you want to drive a car, you should not be intoxicated. There are rules for the safety and well-being of other people because you are not living alone in a forest by yourself. You're living in a society.
Well, here, I guess on his podcast, Rogan was saying only dumb people would accept such restrictive rules, especially when the U.S. became the greatest superpower the world ever known.
Oh my God, he's sounding like Trump.
I know, through the first experiment in self-government that actually worked. And how did it do that? It did it through freedom. He told listeners.
And what scares me is how many people listen to this fucking dumbass.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to say it. He's got so many followers.
Yeah. Like, I don't dislike him. Yeah. But I also, like, when he says stuff like this, it concerns me. Yeah. That, like, so many people, and he says things. Like, here's the problem. He doesn't think about, like, what he is saying. I don't think as much as he should, considering how much of an impact he has. And his argument is, he's like, oh, I'm just having a conversation. I'm like, yeah, you are, but you're also very certain when you talk. Exactly. Which is a bit of a concern since you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Yeah. And you are talking to millions of dumb bros. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I judge guys when they're like, oh yeah, I'm a huge listener of the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh God.
I'm like, oh, of course you are. You and like fucking every other dumbass guy on this planet.
It's like when you meet those. Well, I haven't met any of those guys lately, but like, guys that say they read that what's that book that everyone was reading, Game or something.
Oh, The Game. Oh, that's worse. That's
I know that is very much worse. But
I get when I've listened to Joe Rogan sometimes. Like, yeah. But like it's like when guys are like really into Joe Rogan. Like I don't mind if they're like,
is that a deal breaker, Rose?
Is
that a deal breaker?
Oh, it might be, especially after this shit.
Hey, I'm really like into Joe Rogan.
I really like podcasts. Yeah. Have you heard of the Joe Rogan Experience?
Like, no, I've never heard of that before in my life.
I'll be like, okay, dude. Yeah. See you later. Bye-bye.
And it's like some of his comments. He's like, you have one step away from a king. One step away from a king. One step closer. You're moving one step closer to a dictatorship. That's what the F is happening.
Like. This is an insult to people that have lived in a dictatorship. This is such a fucking joke.
I know. That's what's going to happen with the vaccine passport. That's what's going to happen if they close borders, he continued, suggesting a day you can't enter New York City unless you have your papers. But like, again,
we're talking about, like, he doesn't, like, he's making it seem like they're just making you have a passport for no reason. Like, we're talking about an infectious disease. Okay?
I know.
Like, we can argue the extent of which it's bad. You can argue that. Yeah. But he's making it seem like there's no reason that people are doing this.
Exactly. And there's no reason for like
being concerned.
Exactly. We mentioned this about other countries. And again, we said this about businesses, but also countries is like, for example, we say that we need to be free and we have all these freedoms and whatever else. And, I do agree with that to some extent, but you're like you said, we do have rules in place for a reason for society. And I do think like, especially when it comes to like travel and stuff, I think countries are well within their rights because this is an infectious disease to say, you know what? If you don't have your vaccine, you're not allowed in our country.
1000%.
Because, especially countries that like, if they have like universal healthcare and stuff, they don't want to have to like have that burden put on them in the off chance that you bring the virus or you are more contagious or you get sick when you're there and you're a burden. Like there's so many different factors. And like you said, like this isn't new. Like there's lots of countries that before this is the first time where I guess we're seeing it at such a scale, but like there's other countries that if you want to go there and you have the privilege to be able to go there, there's rules or there's things that you have to follow for the safety of the people there and for your own safety.
Exactly.
And one of them is going and getting certain vaccines and getting certain things before you go to, wherever you're going. And like the thing that's crazy to me is like, there's already been like, even though the vaccines, like I know that they got pushed through quite quickly for like approval process and everything else. And that's why a lot of people were hesitant and really like nervous about getting these vaccines, which, you know,
sure.
fair enough. But like, even with the studies that have come out and stuff lately, they're saying like, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like basically majority of the people now going to hospitals and getting
like 99%.
It's something ridiculous. Like it's really high, especially in the States, are unvaccinated people.
Yes.
So I think that in itself is like kind of a reason. They're like, it's so like, yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Again, like we could argue about the passports, but again, I'm pretty sure that the passports are just there for businesses that choose to make them, like to implement them or not. That's up to them, I think.
It's like with masks right now here.
Yeah, like you can, most businesses are choosing that you don't have to wear your mask.
Exactly.
But if a business wants to have a certain restriction, that's up to the business. That's capitalism. Like, what the fuck are people complaining about?
I know. It's kind of like, and then so we had this.
So that's the tea.
That's the tea. Well,
has
also,
he gotten some backlash?
He has gotten backlash. Then also on a flip side as well, he was Joe Rogan was talking about this study, and I'm not going to go into the intricacies of it because I don't fully understand it.
Okay.
But it was about like vaccines, and he pulled this like this study from 2015 that had studied like different. Again, I'm not going to go into like perfect, like what it was, but basically he like cited this study, and he like, again, you're right. He speaks with such conviction sometimes.
Yes.
And it's so funny because actually one of the like scientists that was involved in that study, whose name is on the paper, came out and was like, Joe Rogan's a fucking idiot.
So
like,
he said it. He basically read it wrong.
Yeah. He like interpreted the study wrong, and like the study was specific to like a certain vaccine within mice for a certain kind of disease, which was like very different than what we're experiencing with COVID. And the scientist that was part of the study was like, oh my God, like Joe Rogan, what are you doing?
The problem is the Joe Rogan bros that are listening to this episode are not going to necessarily Google this episode afterwards and find out that he falsely, interpreted the study. Yeah. So they're going to think, oh, he cited a study, so he must be correct.
Yeah.
So this is the problem when somebody with such a big, and I'm sure it was an innocent mistake.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so dangerous when, especially with, it's dangerous with studies because so many people that don't know how to read studies, like I'll be the first one to say, I don't really know how. Like I don't know how to read studies. It's like there's a lot of like
scientific jargon and like
like there's a lot of things that you have to know about studies to actually be able to understand. That's why like it's good to trust people that have some kind, like let's say a doctor, even if a doctor might not be studying a field of, for example, like nutrition or vaccines, they know how to read studies, right?
Yeah, they know how to like look
they're more
those.
likely to be able to understand the study. They may not be perfect, but they're much more likely than Joe Rogan bro right here.
Exactly. And I also think the important thing as well is like, because like a part of a study is there's always like a hypothesis in there. There's like some, they have some test subjects and they're doing whatever with as part of the study. And like I feel like with studies, it's really hard, like if you just take stuff out of context from a study, because there's certain elements, like you kind of have to read the whole article, and this is probably why I like never read studies,
because it's
like,
so fucking long.
Exactly. They're so long, they're so complex, there's a lot of different layers to these, especially these like scientific papers and stuff, and like you can't just like take one sentence out of context and out of
that fits your narrative.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the issues, and that's basically what he did. He's been kind of getting a bit of backlash for it.
Well, he's not going to get any actual backlash because he's so rich and powerful.
Oh God, I know. He's like, I can't like power. I mean, I just like, I don't know.
I know. Anyway, so that's how we feel about Joe Rogan.
Oh, God damn. The same time, I think I should just like watch some episodes just only for my own research.
Oh God, but sometimes it just like, I feel like he was a little bit more palatable, like maybe a few years ago.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like he's becoming more and more like this kind of,
Yeah, because I seem to remember, and I don't.
He wasn't bad before, I feel like.
I recall that he did an episode with one of our favorite people,
Candace Owens.
Yes.
And
he like called her out on climate change, and it was on climate change.
Yes, it was great.
And he like put some pressure on her and asked her some really like good questions.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's what I want to see. Yeah. Like, don't necessarily take one side or the other. And he was actually like, I remember the discussion that he had with Candace Owens, and I remember because I did see, I have seen some Joe Rogan episodes, and I just remember this one episode with Candace Owens and just the way he like questioned her and the way that he was like, well. And he was so good when he did it because he was like very not like biased one way or the other. Like he did have like kind of some feelings, but he was like, look, I'm not a scientist either.
Yeah.
But Candace, like when you say these things, this is how people are like seeing it. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't just like dismiss this.
Right. And that's what he's doing now.
I know. And it was such a good episode. And then now we're seeing this and we're like,
that's what I'm saying. Like he's gotten to the other extreme somehow.
I feel like, you know what he's doing, Rose? He's spending too much time on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he's
in that age now.
Group. Yep. And he's like going down
his own fucking world.
He's going down a little rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And maybe partly, and I could be wrong, guys, but like partly he's reached this level of fame.
Yeah.
Where he's in this like stratosphere that he's like out of touch with reality
100%.
these days. And I guess like I'm guessing for his podcast as well, he's at the level now where like he has a team doing all this research,
100%,
doing all this stuff for him, and just like presenting him with stuff like this.
Yeah.
And so I think, I
know, but it is a bit scary that so many people listen to him.
Like literally, he is the number one podcast in the world. So,
oh God, well we beat his competition.
Hardly, but anyway,
guys, wow, I think we went over time a little bit.
That's okay, Rose.
Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah, we got really into it, guys. We got a little bit passionate. Sorry for the slow start in the beginning.
Sorry if I yelled at the end there.
Damn, you got a little bit heated.
I got a bit emotional talking about, because this is pissing me off.
I know.
Everything's pissing me off. Like fucking people not caring about climate change. People like fucking, It just makes you wonder like what has to happen until like people we saw with COVID. The COVID deniers didn't believe COVID until they were dying from COVID.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I love sometimes like some of our old episodes and stuff, and I just remember us like talking about like just random stuff about COVID and like COVID idiots and all this stuff, and like actually like as sad as it is, like it brought out such bad human behaviors. This whole pandemic, like
I know,
initially like people freaking out and like hoarding supplies.
Yeah.
For themselves, like being selfish, doing all this crazy shit that actually just made things worse. And it was just like, oh my God, like why guys?
I know.
Why? I mean, not saying that I or like we're perfect or anything,
of
like,
course.
but like,
pretty close to it though.
Sometimes you just need to take a step back and like just think about what you're doing. And
God. Anyway, guys, it is late.
It is very late.
I'm getting grumpier by the second as we talk about this shit.
And I'm tired as hell.
So we will let you guys go. Once again, guys, check out our Patreon. It is patreon.com/The SaVeg Podcast for ad-free episodes and the episodes a week earlier than everybody else, and a bonus episode every single month, and a bonus this month, which is coming very soon. So join us.
Coming shortly to a Patreon near you at the SaVeg Podcast.
And what else do they got to do, Daniel?
So guys, obviously, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast streaming device, don't forget to hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe, smash that like button. Show us some love in the comment section, guys. We do love reading your comments.
Sorry if any of you guys love Joe Rogan.
I know. Yeah. Apologies. We didn't mean to crush your, harsh your gnar or anything like that. So leave us some comments in the comment section. We do love to read those. And check out our Instagram as well at the SaVeg Podcast. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
and
thanks,
we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.